Now at 6 and streaming on CrossroadsToday.com, a Lockhart school teacher running for U.S. Congress District 27 against Michael Cloud.
The DOJ is accusing the state of Texas of infringing on federal authority. This as a GOP delegation visits the border today.
Plus, the city of Victoria planning to spend millions of dollars in street repairs this year.
We are looking at all the cloud cover that was over us today. No rain, but we did get clouds. The problem is we've got two more frontal systems headed in our direction. We'll talk about that coming up in just a few minutes.
And a local softball star has committed to hit the diamond at the next level. I'll have that in sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Don Brubaker.
And I'm Karina Garcia.
An Amber Alert was issued this afternoon for a possible child abduction in Angleton. 13-year-old Carly Smart was last seen in a blue truck wearing a black hoodie, blue jeans, and a black backpack, sunflowers. Call 911 if you have any information about her disappearance.
On New Year's Eve at about 3:30 a.m., VPD officers responded to a disturbance call at the Goat nightclub located at 4106 Houston Highway. While officers were investigating the call, gunfire came from a vehicle as it left the parking lot, which led to an officer-involved shooting. The DPS says 2 people were shot, 1 man and 1 woman. They were going to be okay, but the Texas Rangers are investigating exactly what sparked the officer-involved shooting.
Tanya Lloyd announced today she is running for the 27th U.S. Congressional District versus incumbent Michael Cloud. Lloyd, a school teacher for 17 years in Lockhart, says she is a lifelong Republican voter, but that she is running as a Democrat. Lloyd says she is running to address the economic challenges of District 27, including the pressing challenges of rural health care, and to stand up for her students and their families. The last day to register to vote in the City of Victoria mayoral election is tomorrow, January 4th.
The first day for in-person early voting is January 17th. The last day to receive an application for ballot by mail is January 23rd. The last day for early voting is January 30th, and once again, Election Day is set for Saturday, February 3rd.
The City of Victoria plans to spend a record-breaking $30 million to repair 20 miles of streets this fiscal year. Repairing Crestwood Drive between Ben Jordan and Navarro Streets was finished last February. The final phase of the $15 million Crestwood Drive project between Ben Jordan and Main Street is about 90% complete. The project is expected to finish in August. Street repairs are also continuing in 5 other areas. The City of Victoria's overall goal is repairing 112 miles of streets through the 2026 fiscal year.
Just before 9 p.m. Tuesday, police arrested a driver accused of a DWI. It happened on US 77 Frontage Road. Officers say the woman hit a road sign. No one was hurt, but there was some damage to the vehicle. And starting next Monday, FM 1686 will be closed between Johnson Road and Raven Road. TxDOT reports the closure will be for 30 days while a bridge is replaced. And now let's take a look at your forecast with Chief Meteorologist Mac Perez.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. We had a lot of cloud cover today. Didn't see much sunshine, but we didn't see any rain additional. All that rain is pulled away. However, we're looking out to the west coast. Yep, there it is. Next big storm coming in our direction. It will be here on Friday, and it will give us another good shot at some rainfall. That's a wet Friday. We'll have all those details coming up because beyond that, we've got a chilly cold nights for next week down to the 30s. So we'll be talking all about that coming up in just a moment. Back to you.
Mac, thank you. The Justice Department this evening filing a suit against the state of Texas to challenge Senate Bill 4. The DOJ accuses the state of infringing on federal authority and empowering local police to unconstitutionally arrest migrants. Last week, federal authorities threatened to sue to block Senate Bill 4 if Governor Greg Abbott did not assure them the state will not enforce the law by today. The lawsuit was filed in federal court in Austin.
And all this comes as the Biden administration and House Republicans are upping the political pressure on each other over the immigration strains along the southern border.
Just this afternoon, a GOP delegation of over 60 lawmakers led by Speaker Mike Johnson were in Eagle Pass criticizing the president's immigration policies and demanding change.
We got a first-hand look at the damage and the chaos the border catastrophe is causing in all of our communities.
The Speaker of the House speaking out from the southern border Wednesday. He and a delegation of over 60 GOP lawmakers traveled to Eagle Pass, Texas, a major crossing point for migrants hoping for entry into the U.S.
And what's more tragic is that it's a disaster of the president's own design.
In a statement Wednesday, the White House says that Republicans' consistent refusal to vote for the president's border funding year after year is hamstringing border security. War aid tied to Ukraine and Israel in the president's current funding proposal is one of several issues further fueling the congressional stalemate that may only worsen the migrant crisis.
We will not have the resources to perform our jobs as fully and completely as we could do so.
Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas now facing an additional challenge with Republicans, with House GOP members announcing they'll move forward with impeachment proceedings against him in the coming weeks.
If Republicans were serious, instead of trying to put together these, impeachment sham hearings and what have you, that they would actually sit down with Democrats and come up with a comprehensive plan to really deal with immigration.
We need to focus on what we can get accomplished in this deal and not what we can get accomplished in a political commercial 10 months from now.
I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
Bringing us to your viewer poll this evening, you can scan that QR code on your screen to vote now. The question is, how satisfied are you with Secretary Mayorkas' performance in addressing immigration? According to our results, it looks like 73% are very dissatisfied. Thank you for voting tonight. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part, and we're going to have an update on 25 News Now at 10.
Once again, we let you know about this. An Amber Alert was issued this afternoon for a possible child abduction in Angleton. 13-year-old Carly Smart, you see her there, was last seen in a blue truck wearing a black hoodie, blue jeans, and a black backpack with sunflowers. Call 911 if you have any information about her disappearance.
A large fire damaged a well-known building in Houston Wednesday morning. The structure in the city's 3rd Ward had a mural of George Floyd on an exterior wall. There's no word on a plausible cause, but arson investigators are looking into it. Floyd died in May of 2020 while he was held to the ground by Minneapolis police. His death sparked major Black Lives Matter protests across the country.
Austin police have found a cold case homicide from 2018 that may be linked to Raul Meza Jr. KXAN reports Austin police detectives filed Tuesday a search warrant to gain access to Meza's Google account. In May, Meza was charged after confessing to the murder of Jesse Fraga. Meza also implicated himself in the murder of Gloria Lofton in 2019.
Texas energy regulators are working on a plan to link the ERCOT electric grid to southeastern U.S. states. The Dallas Morning News reports this plan has been in the works for more than a decade. The goal is a 400-mile transmission line from the Texas-Louisiana border through Louisiana and into Mississippi to connect with grids in the southeastern United States. Consumers would not pay for this $2.6 billion project. A projected schedule shows construction could start as soon as 2026 and end by 2029. Attorney General Ken Paxton said his home in McKinney was the target of a swatting incident on New Year's Day. Paxton said on social media someone made a false report to 911 describing a life-threatening situation at his home. Paxton said the McKinney police and fire departments responded to the home. Paxton and his wife, State Senator Angela Paxton, were not at the home at the time, and Paxton said they were not notified of false reports by a DPS trooper.
U-Haul says more people moved to Texas than any other state in 2023. It's the 3rd year in a row the Lone Star State topped U-Haul's Growth Index report. Each year, U-Haul calculates the number of one-way trips of its trucks to and from each state. Texas had a net gain of about 174,000 people in 2023. At the bottom of this list, California. The report does not account for other rental companies or when people hire a moving company. U-Haul says the report does not correlate directly to population or economic growth. Here's a look at some of the top headlines you'll find in the Cuero Record. The Cuero Community Foundation adds 2 board members, Rebecca Dawson and Wes Kubesh. And the Cuero High School class of 1962 gets together to enjoy the Cuero Lights during the holidays. Read these stories and more at DeWittCountyToday.com.
Bitcoin company Riot made $32 million last August by reducing electricity usage. But advocates want to know why all residents can benefit in the same way. You can read this full story by the Texas Tribune on our CrossroadsToday.com website.
Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. You can see Crossroads Today on YouTube. And stay with us. Donald Trump's ballot battle is heating up. Coming up on 25 News Now at 6, how his ballot troubles in Maine could impact the presidential election.
Also ahead in world news, a French man goes for a not-so-casual walk in Chile, 164 feet above ground. Several state capitol buildings across the U.S. were forced to evacuate today due to bomb threats. The Capitol building in Georgia was among at least 5 locations where threats were made. Capitol complexes in Mississippi, Michigan, Kentucky, and Connecticut were also impacted by similar threats. Most of the buildings reopened after they were successfully cleared. However, the Michigan State Capitol did remain closed for the rest of the day. Investigations are underway into the various bomb threats.
Former President Donald Trump has asked the U.S. Supreme Court to overturn the Colorado ruling that disqualified him from that state's 2024 ballot. According to the filing, Trump's attorneys argued the question of eligibility should be determined by Congress and not the states. State election officials in Colorado have said Trump's name will appear on that state's primary ballot when it's certified on January 5th. That's this Friday, unless the U.S. Supreme Court says otherwise. Former President Trump's ballot battle is heating up somewhere else.
Yeah, he's now asking a Maine court to overturn the Secretary of State's decision to remove him from the 2024 primary ballot because of his role in the January 6th insurrection at the U.S. Capitol.
Maine Secretary of State Shenna Bellows, a Democrat, says that she has a legal obligation to remove former President Donald Trump from the ballot in her state. The decision is based on a Civil War-era provision in the Constitution that prohibits anyone who engaged in an insurrection from holding office.
Certainly, it's unprecedented for a Secretary of State to deprive a presidential candidate of ballot access under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. It's also unprecedented for a presidential candidate to engage in insurrection.
The challenge to Trump's eligibility in Maine was filed by a bipartisan group of former state lawmakers.
January 6th. And when I sat and watched that take place, it literally made me sick to my stomach. And I felt I had to take some action.
Trump denies that he engaged in an insurrection. And in his appeal to a Maine court, he argues that Bellows is a biased decision maker and did not give him adequate time and opportunity to present a defense. A former Trump lawyer emphasized that Trump has not been charged with criminal insurrection.
If he had been, we have a burden of proof that they would have to make. Right to compulsory process, right of confrontation, jury trial right. I don't think we want to use this amendment in this case to circumvent those safeguards.
While only Maine and Colorado have voted to take Trump off the ballot, several states have debated Trump's eligibility based on the 14th Amendment.
Here's some of the top headlines you can read in the Port Lavaca Wave. Police arrested one man for public intoxication after they found a vehicle submerged near the 6-mile community boat ramp. Plus, Memorial Medical Center's CEO has outlined a new multi-approach profitability plan designed to refocus the hospital's efforts to save money. You can read these stories and more at theportlavacawave.com. For the first time in nearly 9 months, Ukraine and Russia swapped prisoners of war. Russia's defense minister said its forces handed over 248 prisoners to Ukraine, while the Ukrainians returned 230 soldiers and civilians to Russia. It is the first major swap of war prisoners since August, and Moscow said it is the largest documented so far. Russia says the United Arab Emirates helped mediate the talks leading up to the exchange. The World Health Organization says the COVID-19 pandemic is in a different phase marked by reduced impact, but it's still considered a pandemic. That tracks with what has been happening in the U.S. More than 29,000 people were admitted to hospitals here the week before Christmas. That was up 17% from the week before. COVID-19 was responsible for more than 3% of the deaths in the U.S. that week.
In Chile today, crowds could not help but gaze at a man taking a walk. But that walk was 160 feet above the city streets. Nathan Pauline, who is French, walked 886 feet across Santiago's downtown. The walk was staged to celebrate the start of a local theater festival. For Pauline, this was not his first walk that drew attention. Back in 2021, he strolled across a rope nearly 2,000 feet long, suspended from the first floor of the Eiffel Tower in Paris.
I hope he knew how fast the wind was going to be blowing up there. Anyway, good afternoon, everyone. We had a lot of cloud cover over the area, still have it out there, but we didn't get any additional rain today. We're at a rather chilly 50 degrees, so it's not, bitter cold, but it's not bitter warm either. We're looking at today's high temperature was only 52, so it was pretty much where it was all day long. That's slightly above, or rather below, our average temperature of 65 for this time of the year, but then again with no cloud cover. It only got 1/100th of an inch of rain today, so pretty much a dry day. However, two fronts coming in our direction, both of them bearing rain, and one of them bearing the need for a heavy coat, because it's going to be colder next week. We'll have all that coming up in a moment. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I walked out the house today with a long sleeve shirt, and I'm going, well, it's not that cold. Oh, then the wind started to blow, and so it was somewhere in the middle there. These are the high temperatures around the area: 51 in Gonzales, 58 in Kennedy, 56 down in Rockport, and 55. There you see a 55 in Port Lavaca. We're looking, of course, right now is that north wind. That's the wind we were talking about that kept us on the cool side, but all the rain pulled away. Yesterday's rain was all gone. As a matter of fact, if we widen up, we see the cloud deck over our area today. But whereas yesterday's rain, it's already in the Florida Panhandle. So we're not going to worry about that one, but we're going to worry about that one. Yep, that's the West Coast storm that will be pretty much driving down I-10 and visiting us on Friday, and it looks like it'll have a pretty good shot at giving us more substantial rainfall. This is what we got yesterday afternoon and evening. There you see Victoria in the green is up to an inch. Anything in blue is over an inch, so 1 to 2 inches was good in some spots. Of course, the heaviest stuff late last night right along the coast. From Seadrift, Port O'Connor, all the way up to Palacios. They got probably up to 2 inches of rain in that heavier stuff that came down. Well, here's Future Tracker, and we're going to look to see how far we can get into the future here. We start off on your Wednesday evening. You can see how the storm starts becoming a snowstorm over the southern Rockies. We get a little bit of cloud deck and a little bit of mist, but that's not the main event. Here's the main event right about there, Thursday night. And then into Friday, the Gulf and the cold storm are going to combine to give us enough lift for some significant rainfall right about there. And the good news is that it's another one of those fast-moving systems, so it'll be here for about 6 hours and then it'll be gone. So you can see that by Friday morning, all that rain pulls away, and as we get into Saturday and Sunday, we actually have some nice weather for the weekend. We've got between storms. But this particular map will show you all this blue and all this white, even down as far south as Lubbock. We're looking at a potential freezing, maybe precipitation, certainly below freezing temperatures. And next week is going to be colder, even down here, with the overnight lows getting down into the 30s. So winter is not that far away. It just hadn't been around last couple of weeks. Overnights in the upper 40s. Tomorrow we'll get up to around 60 degrees for pretty much everybody. For those of you in the Port Lavaca area, your high temperature getting up to 62. And we're going to be on the cloudy side again because the Gulf air is going to bring back that moisture. And then we get ready for the rain. So 44 the low in Cuero, getting up to 61 in the afternoon. Still a north wind in the morning, but southeast by the afternoon. And then we get ready for this. Now, this is Friday. It looks fairly soggy, but at least, you know, it's not the holidays. So we get another ½ inch to an inch out of this. We'll be in good shape. And then Saturday and Sunday look good right now. And then Monday is the next frontal system. That will also be putting us back into the chilly weather. In fact, we'll be in the upper 30s and only in the mid 50s in the daytime. So if you don't know where you left your heavy coat, well, you better go start looking for it. That is your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that, put Crossroads a day on your phone. Here's Karina.
Thanks, Mac. And now here's sports reporter Zach Brown.
We've got local scores and the Texans with a chance to clinch this Saturday here from CJ Stroud in sports. The Houston Texans game this week has been upgraded to a nationally televised game this Saturday at 7 p.m. and it's going to be right here on KAVU. And why nationally televised, you might ask? Well, it's only one of, if not the biggest game of the week in the NFL. If the Texans win, they are in the postseason. If the Colts win, they are in the postseason as well. The division is still at play for both teams as well. In addition to being guaranteed a wild card spot if you win this one. If the Jags are to lose on Sunday, that team's going to win the AFC South. And I've said this all year, the Texans will win this division, so it all comes down to this. And while the game may be huge, the leader of this Texans team is trying to keep his poise about the situation.
Yeah, you just gotta keep it. It is what it is. Like, you don't want to make it too high. You don't want to make it too low. It's just a regular game. Since I told my teammates earlier, like, it's the same game we've been playing since we've been young. You know, so nothing changes. Gotta just prepare hard and do everything that we need to do to try to win this game. And I think that'll take us home. But trying to make it too big, that'll like psych you out and make you nervous and stuff. So I just believe in staying even keel.
The Texans have not been to the postseason since the 2019 season. Out in Cuero, we have yet another star athlete committing to a college, and that is softball star Abigail Aguilar. She put the pen to paper to make her commitment to the Coastal Bend Cougars official, and she did it in front of a room full of coaches, friends, and family. Softball season hasn't even begun yet, but she's already seeing success. She thanked everyone for coming out. The Lady Gobblers are the reigning district champs, so they hope to have a great follow-up year. The Refugio Bobcat basketball game came down to the wire, and they used a big shot from one of their leaders, tied at 62 with just seconds remaining. The layup would not go, so they put the ball in the hands of Keelan Brown, who's got two men draped all over him, but he's got to get it up, and he does at the buzzer to get the 64-62 win over Woodsboro. Brown had 38 points in the game. The Victoria West Warriors had a showdown on the road against the Flower Bluff Hornets. That game did not end well, but Bluff is a great program. The West Warriors now have their eyes set on their next opponent, the Victoria East Titans. That game will be at Victoria East on the 5th. Some district action. The Hallettsville ladies traveled to Yoakum and handed the Bulldogs an L in their gym. Final score 43-25. Hallettsville, fresh off their Holiday Hoops tourney, continues to roll. They are 3-1 in district play. Scary scene in Miami. The house of star wideout Tyreek Hill caught in flames. It's being said that this happened while Hill was at practice, and Hill, who was wearing a boot because of an injury, left practice immediately, and everyone reportedly got out of the house safely. That house, valued at nearly $6 million, was eventually extinguished. Other NFL news, Panthers owner David Tepper threw a drink at a Jaguars fan this past Sunday. He has been fined $300,000 for his actions. That's it for your sports. Donna and Karina, back to you.
Thanks, Zach. We're back in a moment. A valuable 121-year-old ceramic pedestal was found in a shed at a Virginia home.
finally tonight, before tearing down a shed for a house building project in Virginia, Johnny Hinson and his friends decided to look inside to see if there's anything of value in there. They found a pottery pedestal that turned out to be more valuable than they expected. Carved on the top was the year the pedestal was made. 1902. This 4-tile piece, made by Frederick Reed, sold for more than $600,000 a few years ago. Gee, you wonder how much it's worth now. And they just found it in an old shed. Oh man, that looks pretty decent for 121 years old. That's really nice.
Yeah, look at that.
Wow.
The artwork.
Yeah, just found it in a shed.
Good thing he didn't go through with the knockdown there.
Wow. Wait before you hit that hammer.
That's right.
Yes.
Hold on a second.
But do people need to get in a shed to stay warm tonight?
Well, yes, they do. They need to bundle up. Well, you know, it's going to be about 50 degrees as a low temperature. It's not particularly cold, but next week, I'm promising you, we're looking at temperatures in the mid-30s, so we'll talk more about that. But for tomorrow, looking for a high of 62, still on the overcast side. And then Friday is the next big rainstorm coming in with that frontal system. That's going to keep us in the 60s, but that's until Tuesday of next week when we start getting a bit of a chill.
Oh, it is January after all.
After all, it is January.
That's right. All right, thank you, Mac, and thanks for joining us.
We hope to see you back here tonight for 25 News Now at 10.